When you're thinking about your primary source, lots of things might come to mind. Now, I want to do a Trump speech or an Obama speech or this speech or, but kind of mind, kind of pick an area that you're kind of interested in, or at least don't pick an area you're just absolutely not interested in. So if you're not interested in politics, I don't recommend doing a political speech. Um, but you want to definitely come, as you're thinking about topics, come to this possible outline. Open that real quick. And when you got to get your topic, one, you want to make sure it's a primary source. If you want to do a Hillary Clinton speech, I don't want you referencing news people who comment on Hillary Clinton's speech. I want you to go to the speech. You have to have the speech in your hands, and you're the one that's going to go through the speech and just point out her use of doublespeak. And again, when you do a political speech, if you want to do that, keep in mind you're not offering your personal opinion about the politician. You're focusing on the politician's use of language. And what you generally find is no matter which side you write about, they tend to use the same language in the same way. But like I've already said before, the first part of the essay, you're just going to introduce doublespeak, quote from that Let's source what doublespeak is. Get into the general category. Let us know if you're talking about political speech, advertising, or whatever. And then you want to go ahead and introduce your primary source. Where'd you find it? If it's a speech, who's giving it, what date, where are they at? If it's an advertisement, where did you find it? It's interesting, a lot of these drug ads are on TV, right? And we're supposed to kind of diagnose ourselves and go to the doctor and ask for that drug. It's interesting that other countries don't allow that kind of advertising. But anyway, where'd you find it? When was it made? What's it for? Then your thesis, and everybody's going to be kind of like this. You'll change yours a little bit. But an examination of that primary source is going to reveal the doublespeak in it and show how language can be used to manipulate us to do various things. And when you're thinking about that primary source, you want to come down here. The body of your essay is you going through these different types of doublespeak. You're going to define that type of doublespeak using the let source, and then give us examples from your primary source showing us why you think it's a euphemism or jargon or weasel words or gobbledygook or whatever. Sometimes students get into color theory with the images and stuff. You can do that. These drug companies spend a lot of time. They're very into color theory. They want you to look at a product, look at the colors, and think and feel a certain way. McDonald's and Chick-fil-A, they're red and yellow for a reason. It just stimulates the appetite, right? So especially green too. So lots of interesting ideas behind color theory, what makes people react a certain way, and things like that. So when you want to look at a primary source, make sure you're looking for that primary source. So if you want to do an Obama speech, probably want to be looking for transcripts of Obama speeches in your Google search and see what comes up. Something like that's a good source right there. ObamaSpeeches.com. That's the kind of place you're looking for. And it'll give you the entire speech, word for word, and that's what you want to start with. You don't want commentators telling you what somebody said in a speech. You want the actual speech so you can work with that. And when you're thinking about that primary source, again, you want to kind of go through here and see if you can figure out where you see various uses of euphemism, various uses of jargon, weasel words. You probably won't use all of these. This outline is probably for about a 3,000 word essay, and that's not the assignment, right? You're looking for about 1,000 words. So if you have 2 or 3, you're in good shape. If you only have 1, that's a problem. It's hard to get 1,000 words out of just one type of doublespeak. What you might also do is try to go find him giving that speech and see who's there, who's behind him, particularly campaign speeches. If you watch Trump and Biden, the people behind them are generally staged there, right? And they have their little signs or the red hats or whatever. It's designed to look a certain way. There's going to look like there's a big sale on American flags. Trump's going to have his little red hat on. Before 2016, you never saw Trump wear a baseball hat. Maybe golfing, but that was about it. And it certainly wasn't a bright red one. Everything's made to look a certain way, right? And you can get into that. But the meat of the essay is getting into the language and seeing what that person's saying and how they're using these different types of doublespeak. So if you get into what you might have a possible primary source and you're not seeing that, might be time to move on to the next one, right? And again, if you're not really into politics, you may have a hard time digging into the language and seeing these things. So be careful what you're looking at. But make sure you're getting to the transcripts. Even if you find a speech online, you might want to try and find the transcript so you're not trying to write down things as they're talking. But YouTube has plenty of Trump speeches and Biden speeches and any politician's speeches. If you want to get into local politics, Bill Lee or anybody talking about certain topics gets into doublespeak. If you're not into politics, drug ads are a great way are good sources sometimes. If you look at weight loss ads, bodybuilding ads, right? If I take this creatine, in 5 weeks I'll lose 400 pounds and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and and people will love me, right? And I'll wear little skimpy bathing suits and I'll be all tanned and everything. It'll be perfect. They can't guarantee that result, so they got to use doublespeak to get you to buy the product and make you think it will. So again, you can kind of look at maybe a weight loss product and see if you can kind of see how they manipulate images. Quite often they say that the people in the advertisement and the images are remunerated. That means they were paid to lose weight, right? Sometimes you'll see words like actor portrayal. That means an actor's doing that kind of thing. So you can get into all kinds of interesting images, but you also want to make sure they use language, and you want to get into euphemisms. How do you describe overweight people? They're probably going to use quite a few different euphemisms, right? But what kind of jargon do you see there? When they start describing what's in these weight loss products or bodybuilding products, they start using these big words for what might be caffeine, right? And then weasel words will help you lose 400 pounds in 5 weeks. That word help will be a weasel word. May contribute to weight loss, little weasel word phrases like that. And you want to point those out in your essay and show us how they work within that advertisement and why it's doublespeak. Like I said, drug ads are awfully good to work with. If you're just watching TV, why are these drug ads on TV? You're not a doctor. You're not there to diagnose depression, right? So why are they trying to get in your head and get you to go to the doctor and diagnose yourself? Is kind of the question. And how do they do that? Well, the answer is that's how they make money. But like this is a Lyrica commercial. Tammy Cates is an actor, right? Actor, however you want to put it. And she's even saying down there. I didn't notice that. She's promoting herself here through this Lyrica ad. And Lyrica is originally marketed for fibromyalgia. Like with most drugs, they start finding other ways to use it. Try and get Ozempic for your diabetes problems, right? Everybody's using it for weight loss right now.
There were days my muscles were so sore from my There were days my muscles were so sore from my fibromyalgia pain, I ached all over. It was hard just doing the little things that I loved. Then my doctor...
Right, they kind of describe the problem, not in very specific detail. And usually they say actor portrayal or something like that on here. Maybe she has fibromyalgia, but she's an actress. But as soon as they start talking about the drug, the music starts, the birds sing, the clouds part, and all kinds of good things start happening, right?
Doctor told me about prescription Lyrica. It's not an antidepressant. It's the first and only FDA-approved treatment that can help relieve my fibromyalgia pain.
All right, notice they called it a treatment. It can help relieve your fibromyalgia pain. It doesn't mean it will. Right away, these weasel words start creeping into the commercial, and they can't really make specific claims. They can't promise you this drug's going to work for your fibromyalgia. They just want you to go to your doctor and give it a try, right?
Lyrica helps me accomplish my daily
Again, helps accomplish doesn't mean it will.
Activities and helps me feel better. So now I can start to think of something other than my pain. Lyrica's not for everyone. Tell your doctor right away about any serious allergic reaction that causes swelling or affects breathing or skin or changes in eyesight, including blurry vision or muscle pain with fever.
And again, why would their ad be in Redbook? This is kind of an older ad, obviously. But when you start talking about side effects, you're going to see people here. She's active with their plants and playing with their doggy, and people will be playing with their kids on the beach and stuff like that while they're telling you all these horrible things that might happen to you if you take the drug.
or tired feeling. Some of the most common side effects of Lyrica are dizziness, sleepiness, weight gain, and swelling of hands and feet. Do not drink alcohol while taking Lyrica. You should not drive or operate machinery until you know how Lyrica affects you. If you have fibromyalgia, ask your doctor if Lyrica is right for you.
And again, a treatment is not a cure, right? So lots of interesting things going on, interesting colors in that ad. But right away, you can already kind of see where you might be able to get into weasel words, images, and again, you want to go back to that possible outline, and you're kind of seeing like, yeah, I can see the images, how I could talk about those, and how they use those to sell the product, and definitely you can see the weasel words from treatment to helps to all those, and how they kind of sound like they're making a claim, but they really aren't. And also within your essay, you got to use at least 2 other sources other than the primary source. So with something like this, you might go to the website, and there's all these people who might be taking Lyrica. Although quite often it does say actor portrayal on there. I'm not seeing it there. Maybe they got a real patient. But you can kind of go through, and of course, like any drug dealer, the first one's free, right? They want you to get into taking it so then they can start charging you later, right? And here, like you kind of just see those weasel words again. Lyrica may be able to help or may not. May is a weasel word. But you can also get into all the different web pages. You can get into this full prescribing information. And here you might get into jargon. Sometimes they'll explain what it is, like angioedema, swelling of the throat, head and neck. But when you get down into the nitty-gritty stuff, they probably won't explain what angioedema is or some of these other things, or what well, I know what that is. But notice the hypersensitivity reactions. The problem is you have the reaction. It's not a side effect of the drug, it's just your reaction to it. But you got all this mess you can get into. For jargon, you might get into the clinical studies a little bit. Since that ad was for fibromyalgia, that would come down to what the clinical study said about fibromyalgia. And you can kind of try and read through that, see if you can read it and understand what's going on. Or is it just a form of jargon that you can't quite understand? And it's an interesting graph they use there. Kind of the more important question is, can you take this to your doctor and say, what's this chart mean? What's going on here? Why is this placebo, this little light gray line, why is it doing the same thing as the drug itself? That's kind of an interesting question, right? And sometimes they'll have charts you can read. When they did this study, the placebo worked 47.6% of the time. The drug only worked 68% of the time, right? So 2 out of 3 people it did something for. It's kind of interesting. The higher the dose, once you go from 450 to 600, the improvement goes down. It's kind of interesting, but the side effects go up. They say that somewhere up in here, I think. Yeah, there was no evidence of a greater effect on pain scores of the 600 milligram daily dose than the 450 milligram daily dose. They don't point out that it went down, right? But there was evidence of dose-dependent adverse reactions. It's kind of a weird way to phrase that. So you're getting into some jargon there. You might call this chart a little bit of jargon. Can you understand it when you're looking at it? To be honest, I can't. I got through calculus 2 barely. But so are they communicating with you? Do you think your doctor reads all this? Right, this is way down at the bottom of all this mess. And here they kind of have the different adverse reactions. So, right, with the 300 milligram dose, 31% of patients had dizziness, 18% had sleepiness or somnolence, whatever that is. I'm not sure what peripheral edema is. That's quite a bit. That's kind of Russian roulette odds, right? So, if it's only working 2/3 of the time and 1/3 of the time people are having reactions to it. It's kind of interesting information. It doesn't mean the drug's evil. It doesn't mean your doctor's evil for prescribing it. But do they explain all this when they prescribe it for you? It's kind of an interesting question. Although generally people with fibromyalgia are so desperate they're willing to try about anything. But again, then I could come to this possible outline. I got images I can work with. I got jargon I can work with that prescribing information. Got all kinds of weasel words. Could probably make a pretty good essay out of that Lyrica commercial. Or at least starting there, going to the website, then going to the prescribing information and trying to figure out what's going on there. So again, it kind of depends what you're interested in writing about. Some people write about places they've worked, like an employee manual. You can get into all kinds of interesting stuff there. I've had a couple done on high school policies, especially dress code policies. Can be kind of interesting. They're always geared towards women, right? If you show a shoulder in class, it distracts everybody and nobody can get their work done. But anyway, so as you're thinking about possible topics, you may have to go through a couple, but try and come back to this outline and see if you're going to be able to kind of fill it out. Not the whole thing. And again, you may end up having a source that just does something else. Sometimes Donald Trump, particularly in his campaign speeches, he kind of speaks in this kind of code, right? He'll just go like, crooked Hillary or something, and the whole crowd just goes boo, and you kind of like, if you're outside of that group, you're kind of like, what did he say? Why would you just boo a former Secretary of State like that? Well, they know kind of what he's saying, and they have this interesting kind of code going on, and this kind of call and response kind of effect. So that might be kind of another form of doublespeak, right? If you're an outsider, you not quite understand what's going on. So it might be kind of jargonish. It might be something else. So you might end up having another category. You don't have to, but you might. So lots of interesting things, lots of interesting possibilities. I hope that helps a little bit. But obviously, if you have questions or you're getting stuck, let me know. Generally, my suggestion is if you're totally stuck, go for a drug ad. Watch TV for a little bit. You'll see about 5 or 6 possibilities there. But if you're stuck, be sure to let me know, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.